and apparently if the play does well, we'll be nominated for an Oscar. And if I have to go to the Oscar Awards next year, and anyone insults my wife, no fucking chance of me slapping any fucker with this.
Gary Smith, huh? Hi everyone, you're very welcome to this week's episode of Parlay with Paudcast. If you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, click the notifications bell so don't miss any future videos and updates. If you're listening on audio only on Podbean or Spotify, please click follow. And please check out my vlogging channel, Pitch Spotting with Paudrick, on YouTube. Loads of exciting vlogs to come over the next couple of weeks, including Liverpool, Benfica, Liverpool, Man United. And you'd never know, it might even be a Champions League semi-final in there as well by the end of the month. This week, I'm delighted to be joined by Keith Taylor from Prime Anxiety Solutions and Black Sheep Events. He's quickly becoming a regular fixture by the fireside. And I'm delighted also to be joined by award-winning Liverpool comedian Gary Skyner for his first trip by the fireside this evening. So, Gary and Keith, thanks a million for coming on. It's great to have you here again.
Good evening, Paddock.
Nice to see you, mate.
So before we get stuck in, we'll do the usual cheers and good health, guys. So hope you're well over in Liverpool, and here's to a very productive April. What month ahead?
Sláinte.
Now, Tropicana, but later.
Sláinte.
Yeah.
So, look, I suppose the main reason that I've asked John there this evening, guys, is just to have a chat about your upcoming night in the Anselmians Rugby Club, East Ham in Wirral on April 22nd. I just want to have a chat about that, about what can be expected and what's on the agenda.
Yeah, I'll go first because it's through the Black Sheep Sports events. Anselmians Rugby Club. It's a brand new venue. I'm going to say brand new, probably about 12 months it's been built for, but really, yeah, it's really modern. It's ideal for holding the event. 5 hours of entertainment. So Gary will be talking for 5 hours. But it's 7:30 till 12:30. At present, we've got John Barnes, Phil Thompson, and Davy Fairclough. We do have reserves because what we do with every single event that we have, and this goes to any other sports event business, if you've got sort of one or more, they'll always have a reserve, purely down to the situation with COVID, more so than anything. And the footballers are humans, they have sort of, issues with families and things like that. So those in reserve are Ronnie Whelan, Jason McAteer, and Alan Kennedy. So you've got two lads there who've won, shed load of trophies in Ronnie and AK, and Jason. Jason's good. I don't know if you lads watch LFC TV. Jason's he played over 100 times for Liverpool, and I think people sort of tend to forget the fact that we did turn out over 100 times for the club over I think it was 4 to 5 year period, and
you'll always be a hero on Ireland for beating Holland as well.
Yeah,
that goal,
yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. So I get a little bit cheesed off when you'll put the flyers or the adverts out and Macca's on there, and people always go Jason McAteer, or they'll look at it, they'll see 6 photos of players and they'll go 5 legends and Jason McAteer. And my view is, and what I ask people is, how many times you played for Liverpool? Even just once for me would be a dream come true. That lad played over 100 times. And he's also good to come on and to be part of it, because Jason was quite openly sort of spoken about his battle with mental health. So being a therapist, it's important for me to sort of, get the word out there and talk about mental health. And Jason is very open with his mental health. So I always feel a little bit sorry for him in that respect. But it's going to be a great night. So we've got the legends, the three that I mentioned. Hopefully it will be those three, or bar COVID or any other inevitability, but hopefully those three. Then we've got Gary. So Gary is there to do a couple of turns on there. We've got Karen Gill, who is Bill Shankly's granddaughter. We've also got the European Cup Champions League trophy there for everyone to have the photograph taken with. And we've also got a hot pot meal. And I think one of the main things that we've got to discuss is that it's in aid of Player House Children's Hospice, which is an amazing cause, for us to do. And there's also a raffle, so there's loads of there's going to be loads of prizes there, Liverpool prizes, hotel stays, meals, or, just for a couple of quid each would be great, just to put, raise the money and the charitable cause. So it's going to be a brilliant night. Where else would you get a meal, all these celebrities, and the European Cup for 5 hours for £60? It's just £60. If people say, well, 60 quid seems a lot, you're getting 3 celebrities. Well, you get 5 celebrities, really. The European Cup, a meal over 5 hours, and great entertainment. You'll spend that at the match and more.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be apt if Davy Fairclough was in reserve, because he made good use of coming off the bench.
Davy sort of he sort of makes a joke about that, and I think when on the night, I'm sure Gary will, when Gary sort of talks to the lads and that, we'll probably bring that up on the night and that. But Davy's used to that, unfortunately, but he's fine with it. He's such a of all the players. I'm sure Gary, you'll back me up on here. Davy's an absolute gentleman, isn't he?
Yeah, I know most of them through, sportsman's dinners. It's similar to what we're doing on the 22nd, and the stuff that goes on behind the scenes, and and all the other stuff that it's better than the actual football on the pitch a lot of the times, for fun. But when you're talking about, you singling out Jason McAteer before, I work a lot with Mickey Quinn, who was a scouser through and through. And for some reason other than scoring for fun for Sunderland, for Newcastle and up in the northeast, and you go and do a gig in Newcastle or Sunderland, and it's a sellout. And he's like, he's a Geordie, and with Jason, I'd have thought Liverpool would have gone in for the likes of Quinn when he was flying at Newcastle. And it took Jason really to be accepted by Bolton Wanderers for Liverpool to sit up and say, hang on, overlapping right full back. And he gained his dream by being accepted in another town and excelling for them, and which is great. Doesn't matter how you get that to that red jersey. Whether they come for you straight away, you come to the academy, whatever, or, sometimes come, to be active. Doesn't matter how you get into that Liverpool dressing room, by Hugo, by Kruk, you get there, and Jason's one of them. And he's a very, very funny lad too. And as you say, he struggles with his mental health. But makes light of things, and you feel easy around this, and the rest of the lads, Phil Thompson, Barnsley. I mean, when you think what these fellas have achieved, and like for 60 quid and I put supper, to actually meet and greet and rub shoulders with them and bring the odd programme or the odd book or whatever to get signed, the lads never refuse anyone,
Yeah. I think that some people have been saying to me, 60 quid. Well, I actually organised the events through the Liverpool Echo, going from 2004 to 2009. And the tickets then were 60 quid. Now, all right, it was the whole squad of the 1965 or the 70s and the 80s, and so, you know, there was a lot more there and what have you. But it's still the same process. But you didn't have the opportunity to have that close vicinity of 150 people in a room for you to then have that time with each of the legends, to speak to yourself, to speak to Karen. Karen's going to be come along and talking about, you know, this is Bill Shankly's granddaughter, the great Bill Shankly, and she's got great stories to tell about a granddad. I was actually, do you know what? There was one just very quickly. I was reading something about Bill Shankly the other day about he turned the airwaves blue on Radio City. Have you heard this one, Gary? Where he Gary Birtles played for Notts Forest and scored against us.
Yeah, twice.
And this fella said, the commentator said, nobody had heard of Gary Birtles beforehand. And Shanks live on Radio City said, yeah, and they effing well heard about him now, haven't they? And it, honestly, God, but there was not one complaint either about him. You know what I mean? I think that was 80. Was that 80? They would have been 79, 80.
It would have been 78 European Cup, because then they were down and win in 79 and 80.
Yeah, so 79, 80. They won it, didn't they? But it was just brilliant. But Karen's got loads of different stories that we don't know about, you know. And I just think for the price of the ticket, you know, it's like with when we come over to Ireland, the price is €60. But again, you're getting 3 Irish legends, or 4, I beg your pardon, it's 4 Irish legends. And a chance to, you know, when everyone comes into Anselmians and Ireland or each event, you'll come in and on your seats, on your chair, is going to be a piece of paper to write down your question to whoever you want to speak to, put it to, and then you will be picked out and you'll be able to put your question to each of the players. So Q&A, and it's just going to be 5 hours. You think about it, you know, it's £12 an hour, and this is all going to a great cause, you know, a fantastic cause.
Yeah, it should be a brilliant night. And last episode that we were on with you, Keith, we were talking about Liverpool's Carabao Cup success at Wembley against Chelsea with Mark Radley. And Gary's very interesting experience of that game. Want to tell us about that, Gary?
Well, we actually got tickets in the Chelsea end, thanks to compliments of Barry Fry. And anyone who knows me or is a friend on Facebook, after the game, I had a horrendous fall down 25 steps on an escalator at Leicester Square in London, and cut me arm badly, and numerous bruises everywhere. But I had the last laugh on Barry Fry, because he said to me, "It's all right, girl." I said, "You're only in Chelsea, and that's all I could get." And so immediately I had the accident. So when I got to the Chinese, I took pictures of the injuries and said, "You bastard, this is what happens when you get me tickets in the fucking Chelsea." They didn't fucking do that to you, did they? The escalator in Leicester Square.
What was it like during the game, trying to control your emotions, like when Matip got the disallowed goal?
Oh, well, Matip scored, disallowed. And I went, yes, and this fella said, I said, "What did you fucking say?" And I went, "Oh," you know, and then you imagine having to sit through 11 penalties and keep your fucking mouth shut.
22 penalties, even, like, you know, if you take Chelsea's into account.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, they were ripping the Chelsea flags off the sticks, and you know, they all had them blue Chelsea flags with the crest on. And you could count, honest to God, you could be carpeted Toxters with the amount of Chelsea flags that have been ripped off the sticks, you know. And it was an eerie experience. So you have to keep your gob shut through 11 penalties, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't be a huge fan of Chelsea fans now, I'll be honest. Like, I think someone kind of made a comment once that Chelsea are like Millwall, but who won the lottery, you know? And you know, I'd say there's a bad enough element among them, like. So I'd imagine.
I think, do you know what? I mean, for me with Chelsea, it's just the fact that there was an interesting fact. I think it was 2000 or 2001. They had the Premiership game, and I think there was only 18,000 at the match. And you know, that song, "They've Got No History." Well, they haven't, have they? Doesn't, you know, it's not talking about the cups that they've won. They're talking about the history of the club. Man City are going the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, you've got horrible Chelsea fans, which they are horrible. I mean, I've got to say, I dislike Chelsea more than Man United and Everton. I really do. And then now you've got the Man City fans who can't even fill their own stadium.
I'll tell you a good one about Man City. I vlogged the Manchester Derby there last month. I went over and
good atmosphere. I've got to be honest with you. When I watched that and watched how they were all jumping up and down, singing together and everything else, that was good.
Yeah,
you know?
No, the atmosphere was class, and like the song "Love Will Tear Us Apart" again. They're singing "City tearing Cockneys apart" again, and it was quite good, like making reference to United's Cockney fan base. And the Toure song, it was a great atmosphere. Now I would knock them for that, and I don't want much of a problem with Man City fans in general, like, you know, but just it was interesting to get tickets for that game. You had to have been to the Etihad 3 times in the past, ever, not just last season, ever in the whole history. So a fella who I helped out getting Liverpool tickets got onto a friend of his who hadn't been to a Man City game since 2005. They had a season ticket expire. So I literally gave him the money to renew his membership, and I gave him a login, and I bought the ticket for the Manchester Derby. But for the Atletico Madrid match, you could have got tickets on the halfway line for Atletico Madrid and Man City last week with that membership, right? At the start, it was 1 ticket per member. Then it went up to 2. And as of now, you can buy 4 tickets per membership for a Champions League quarter-final. The stadium is 3/4 empty.
Crazy.
You know what I mean?
And that's why they'll never be a big club. They won't, because they haven't got the fan base for it. And once Guardiola's gone, see, the difference between us and the likes of Man City and Chelsea is history. You know, we've got that fan base. We're not just like, because we are one of the biggest clubs in the whole world. And we are, I think, I don't know about you two, but, and those who are watching that, I think people, the reason that people dislike Liverpool is through the jealousy. There's a lot of jealousy because the atmosphere at Anfield, you know, the way the supporters are, the fact that we've got an anthem, with the most successful club in British football, one of the most successful in European football, and one of the most biggest followed clubs in the world. I think that there's a lot of envy, and jealousy of us as a club. And City, I say once Guardiola's gone, I think they'll struggle. I don't, you know, because there's not an awful lot of class managers around at the moment. And just interestingly enough, if Klopp does go, I still think he'll sign an extension for a couple of years. Once Klopp does go, who would you have in charge? Because I read something today about Jamie Carragher talking about Simeone, who I wouldn't touch with a barge pole.
I wouldn't like him either.
I can't stand the fella. It's just, who would you have?
Jesus, that's a hard one now. There's not exactly a standout. If he didn't manage Everton, I might have said Ancelotti, but he has, so that's a no. Zidane is probably one of the few names. Pochettino, Spurs.
No.
It's a hard question to answer, isn't it? Steven Gerrard obviously is the obvious one, like, but
you see what we're all talking about here is Liverpool's ability over the last 55 years, 55, that's over half a century, okay, to the scouts, the people connected with the club, to go and stand and watch Jimmy Case, the case in point, wanted to finish his career as an electrician and thought Tom Saunders was some type of loony who came up, with a cloth cap on Sefton Park and said, I'd like you to come and play for Liverpool, and he said, Tom, to fuck off, and said, I'm going to be an electrician, don't fucking bother me. They go to the likes of, Falkirk and places like that, have an eye on a fella. Tom Saunders have an eye on a fella, like Stevie Nicol or someone. And then he go into the local boozers and the clubs. This is the way they used to do it, honestly. 2 nights they'd stay up there afterwards, after the game. And he'd say, I'm from Liverpool, blah, blah, blah. I was looking at the game the other night. He's Andy, isn't he, that Stevie Nicol, for instance. But I believe he's in town every night fucking fighting, and all that. And we'd say, well, that's not what we read. He's a church goer. And he's very good to his mum and dad. Comes home, he's in bed by 11 o'clock. And he's fucking, he's really like on his game. And that would be the thing that would seal it. And Liverpool have always had that ability. And I think even with the money that's there now, if you look at Jota and you look at the likes of these signings that nobody else would touch with a fucking barge pole, and it's got, Jack Grealish, £100 million. I wouldn't pay him in fucking washers. £100 million for Grealish. Yeah. Fucking rubbish. Jota, 40 minutes. Nobody even fucking knew we were looking at Jota. Yeah. We've got him. And now you'd probably sell him for fucking, you wouldn't let him go for like 180 million. Yeah. We've still got that ability with Klopp, as we had with Shankly and we had with Paisley, who along with the backroom team could go around and say, never mind that big price tag, he'll fit right into the fucking piece of jigsaw.
Yeah.
And it's worked every time. Every time. 55 years.
Yeah. And when you look, Gary, when you look down the line of players that we've lost, when Keegan went, there was a lot of, like, we've gutted, weren't we? A lot of supporters were gutted. Paudcast won't remember when Keegan went, but he went to Hamburg, and look who we replaced him with. But then you look at when Rushy went to Juventus.
Yeah.
Who did he replace him with?
Aldridge.
Barnsley and Oldham.
Yeah.
Rushy came back. Then we had Owen, Fowler, Torres. We replaced Torres with Suarez. We replaced Suarez. Who do we have?
With Balotelli.
Well, yeah, Balotelli, yeah. But then but if you look at us as a club down the years, well, whenever we've lost the superstar of the team, we've always replaced them. So this is where, at the moment, like this thing with Mo Salah, I believe with Klopp that if Salah went, as well as Mane, we'd replace them. We would replace them with the equivalent, or even better. It's.
So that's actually a question for both of you guys. Would you pay Salah the money or let him go?
Yes. Yeah, I'd pay him the money. Look, if you look at his goal ratio per game and look how quick he's got to the goals that he has with his game ratio, I'd pay him the money, no doubt about it, because he is at the present moment, he hasn't, since the Africa Cup of Nations, he's come back from it, he hasn't been as prolific and doesn't look the same player, where he's been carrying an injury before the Brighton game. But I'd pay it because he is a superstar. He's brilliant. Or if the question then would be, if the likes of Barcelona, which I find it hard to believe, or PSG, I would say, came in with 150 million or more, based on his age as well, he's 30, would you accept it? Yeah, I probably would, because if for that money, I'd go and get either Mbappe or Haaland for that, or someone of similar. You look at some of the players who are out there for free transfers. Dybala, Dybala. Some of those players out there, there's some fantastic players. There really are. So he's replaceable. Let's put it that way. He's not irreplaceable. He is replaceable. He always are.
What you've got to look at here is not Mo Salah and not look at Liverpool Football Club. You've got to look at the bigger picture here, like the political picture. And the political picture is, if you pay an individual 457,000 a week or whatever it is he wants, that, I don't give a fuck what you say, breeds resentment right throughout the team.
It does, yeah, it would do.
And that's when you get problems in the dressing room, because if he's 31, 31, and he doesn't feel like pulling his weight on a particular day, then you've got people saying, well, hang on a minute, you're getting 400, and then you've got dressing room unrest then. And if somebody, as you say, Keith, comes in with 150 million would be a derisory figure. It would have to be, if they want him this summer, 180 to 200 million. And don't forget, they've then got to pick up the wage bill that he wants.
Yeah.
Now, if Salah's people behind him accept what we're saying, which is, we don't know what's going to happen when he's 31, 32, 33. We can't commit as a business to that type of money for that long. I'd give him it for 2 years. I'd give him a 2-year contract, but apparently they're looking for 3 to 4. You can't do that if a fella potentially could become a bench warmer for the last 2 seasons of his career. I don't think he will. I think he keeps himself tidy. I think his ability is, the figures speak for themselves. But for me, as you said, 180, 200 million, I'd unfortunately say, bye Mo, and thank you very, very much for everything you've done.
I think the concern is though people are unlikely to offer that money because they'll get them for free.
That's what I'm saying. He's only got 12 months of his contract. But the other thing that for Salah, if I was Klopp, and I'd be going to him, I'll give you a few names of who left Liverpool, and I'm saying like what Klopp would say: Coutinho, Torres, Owen. You go through and those players who left who always thought, they all thought the grass was greener on the other side. Very, very few players have ever left Anfield and gone on to be successful. Very few, So we've got to look at it that way as well. Would you of those players who are out of contract in the summer, or for next summer, Mane, Firmino, Mo, there's a couple more, isn't there? Would you give any of those a new contract, or if you were given a good amount of money, would you keep them?
I would push to keep Salah and Mane. I think I'd be willing to let Bobby go, if I'm honest.
I would let Mane go simply because of you've got Diaz playing on that side. Who's the other lad? Jota could play on that side as well. And I just think with Mane now, he's not as prolific as he was certainly the last 2 years he hasn't. I mean, he's still scoring goals and that, but of those front three, Mane is the one I would let go. If we had if we've got good money.
What would you think, Gary, of the three? Which would you be willing to leave go?
I'm sorry, Paddy, could you say that again?
We'll say between Mane, Salah and Firmino, which of the three would you think is expendable? Who would you let go of the three?
Firmino for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But Bobby's at his day. I mean, he's not a 90-minute player now anyway. He's not. You don't get the Bobby Firmino that we had for 90 minutes when he was 3 gazelles attacking there back 4. We haven't got that now. Mane slowed down. And even Salah to a degree, over the last few games, over the last 6 months, the signs there that people are, if you remember rightly, Steve Iway, I'm going back way now, Iway used to drag the ball with his right foot and showed him like he was going inside, and then he'd skin them down the wing, right? And whip the cross in late for Keegan and Toshack to benefit from. and he got a horrendous injury for a while, and he came back against CSKA Sofia in a European Cup game. But before he had that injury, people had learned how to fucking mark him. And Salah is, every time he gets the ball, there's two people up his ass. There's two people right on him, and he's finding it more and more difficult. People are learning how to play him, right? And you've got to look at that. You've got to look at people get wise to these people. You know, and I wake up back after people have forgotten what he did, and we destroyed. I think Sooner scored an hat-trick that night. I think we beat them 5-1. And Highway excelled because people had forgotten about him. He got missing for 3 months.
Yeah.
But Mo can be marked out the game and was in the Cabrio Cup. You know.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. Because I was saying before, I certainly think that the Africa Cup of Nations. Yeah. Since then, whether he picked up an injury or he could just be, he's played a lot of games this season. Well, so is Mane, and so is because of the amount of competitions that we're in and the amount of games we played. But it's good that we've got probably the strongest squad that we've had since sort of late 80s, mid to late 80s. You're saying there about like with injuries, and I get what you say with Bobby. I do understand that. I get that. He just brings a little bit different to every other player, I think, in the squad. But when Barnsley had that, he ruptured his Achilles. Do you remember he ruptured his Achilles? And he was never the same, was he? Never played on the left wing again, did he? Came back and played midfield because he'd lost that ability to run and run at players and get past them, So, and it was England duty as well, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was on England duty, the same as like Redknapp and Gomez. The amount of players that we've lost through injury on England duty is stupid. Well.
But the
Ghost not English, like,
Yeah. The rumours today on social media are that Salah said goodbye to his Egyptian colleagues last night in the dressing room.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, that he's.
He didn't actually say he was packing in, but it was like, it's been great working with all of you and being with you. But he didn't actually say his career was over, So.
Yeah. But Barnsley, I think. He was he would have gone on to be probably one of the greatest players, if not the greatest player, if he hadn't got that injury. I was just going to ask you, as regards both, well, actually you, Gary, not Paudre. Do you watch England? Because England just had 2 games there.
Couldn't be hard.
I don't watch them.
If they were playing in the garden, I wouldn't open the fucking curtains to watch them.
No.
I was just going to say at the beginning that it was you brightened up the week of international boredom, like, by coming on the show tonight. So, yeah.
I'd rather watch fucking Coronation Street than watch fucking England, to be honest.
Yeah,
International football is shocking. Like, I'm not a fan of it either. Just a point about 22nd of April as well, which I meant to say earlier on. It's very good timing because the Man United game is 3 days beforehand. The Merseyside derby will be on either the following night or 2 days after, depending on how the Champions League goes. And potentially, fingers crossed, they can get past Benfica. Champions League semi-final will be on 4 days later as well. So it's right in the middle of a hotbed of games there, like, so there'll be that fever atmosphere, and
absolutely,
hearing the lads' opinion on how the season's going to turn out as well. I'd say it'd be great to get there, taking it, like,
most definitely.
We're facing into the busiest month of the season, as we mentioned. They're fighting still on 3 fronts. Gary Neville is worried we're going to do the quadruple. Do you think the quadruple is a real possibility? Like, at this point, what are you thinking of the 3 trophies left? How many are we going to win, do you think?
I honestly think, and it's not being a stupid Liverpoolian or anything like that, he has got the knack, and I just think this group of players know they can do it. And it's an old Liverpool cliche: take each game as it comes, and literally, that's what they're doing. It's a cup final on Saturday against Watford, and that's how they treat it. Put that to bed, train again, rest again, and go again. And I think we've got that. If the wheels fall off one of them, that might change the whole scenario. But it's win this game, win this game, win this game. And we've got the ability to do that.
What do you think, Keith?
Do you know what? I look at that squad, and the difference being is you could, if you look from 1 to 11 of who you would have or potentially have as a captain of that team, there's very few in there that you wouldn't have as a captain. You know, you're going from Ali to even Trent, Robbo, Virgil, Henzo, Fabinho, Mo, you know, and those who aren't sort of playing as much, you know, Millie and the difference being is that, you know, they are like it's a mature squad, isn't it? And you know, even though we've got a few youngsters like Harvey and Jones and etc. there in the background, it's a mature squad. And as I say, having that many sort of captains will bring, you know, they will take each game as it comes. And I just think for us, Klopp's mentality and how he is as well, you know, will get them through each game. And experience of winning finals, being in finals, winning cups. Now, the running for the, you know, Premier League, we've won the Champions League 2 years ago. The FA Cup, you know, we haven't won it for
2006, isn't it? Gerrard final.
Yeah,
6.
so
17 years.
17 years, you know, so you know, to go and have the FA Cup back in the trophy room as well, but to be the first team to win the quadruple, we can do it. There's absolutely no doubt about it. We can, as long as keep the injuries down. We're going to miss Trent, but Gomez, I thought, played well when he's come in at right back. Got Milner to play, who could play there. I'm just so excited by the squad, and it's funny, isn't it? You watch each game before you sort of build up to a game. Sometimes you sort of think to yourself, we could lose this one. It's going to be tough, this one today, and you have a feeling. I don't have that with this squad of players we've got. You go in there with confidence and just think, you know what? And we'll beat City, by the way. We'll beat City week on Sunday.
Yeah,
that's my prediction. We'll definitely beat them. Yeah.
I was just thinking there, you know, I said it to Gary earlier on, if you go back to New Year's Day, 11 points behind City, if I remember correctly. I think we had a game in hand as well, but still 11 points. With the African Nations Cup looming at the end of the month, you would have got good odds on Liverpool. If Liverpool win Saturday, we're top of the league.
Yeah.
You would have got serious odds on that on New Year's Day, waiting to go in. And one thing I'd be very interested to see how City cope with going to Burnley. If Liverpool win lunchtime kick-off on Saturday against Watford and go top of the league, Burnley are in the relegation zone, and they're batting relegation, but they're a tough proposition at Turf Moor. That's going to really put the pressure on City to win after that game, you know. So I'd be interested to see how they cope with the pressure there.
Absolutely, yeah.
So it's incredible that.
Do you know what? There was it was Roy. Was it Roy Keane? Oh no, it wasn't. It was Paul Mason, a clown, and he was talking about the running for ourselves and Shitty, and he was going, you know, they've got easy games all the way through.
Yeah,
it's rubbish. You know, they could. I look at them, and if they have a couple of injuries, say like Sterling or Foden or something like that, their ability to score goals, because they don't. I mean, even defensively, you know, if they've got a couple of injuries, it'd be a different prospect. Honestly, I do. And when they're under pressure, they do lose games when they're under pressure. They do. So yeah, it's not as easy as what Mason says.
In my lifetime, I've only seen Liverpool win one league title properly, and it was a cakewalk. Like, I've never actually seen Liverpool win a close title run-in when it's been neck and neck. Like, the few times it has been like that, they've spewed it at the end, like, you know, or blew it late in the running, like, you know. So it would actually mean so much to Pip City to the post. Now, you know, the ideal ending for me this season would be it goes to the last day and Coutinho scores a late winner for Aston Villa at the empty head, like, you know, or something like that. Something like that would be great, you know.
I'll tell you what, if that happens, let's see if Tyler goes as mad as he did when Aguero scored, or if a Man United player scores.
Yeah.
Because he never does that. He never does that with us, that's for sure.
Well, I think, and I do think we will win the quadruple. I don't think it's beyond us at all, right? And it would be a great, like, Bill Shankly moment to get, to say, for Klopp to say to whoever's in charge of the trophy room, take them into that room on their own, all four of them, and then give Mo a shout and say to him, I want you to come in this room with me now, and I'm going to let you go this year. And I've had an offer for you for 180 million. Open the door and say, but I want you to get in touch with me next summer and tell me, whoever you go to, that you've achieved that, because you'll never achieve that anywhere else, and you'll never achieve the adulation that you've had from these Liverpool people, these Liverpool fans from around the world. Good luck, and wish you all the best. You'll never, ever repeat that feat. And you were part of that. You were pivotal to that, you know. Yeah. And if he doesn't capitulate at that point and say, fuck it, I'll take what you want. I can't leave this club. A bit like when Chelsea come in for Gerrard. How can you walk away when a club has won 4 trophies? You know, please God, won 4 trophies, you know.
Yeah.
If I had a choice, I'd take the league out of the 3 that's left just to draw level with United's league.
Yeah, me too.
That would be my preference of the 3, like, would be the league, you know. Gary, we're going to have you back on again at a later date just to have a chat about your own story as well, because it's an inspiring story, a brilliant story, and I'm looking forward to meeting you in person as well when we're on the LFC Legends Tour in June in Ireland, which we'll be doing another show about, and we'll communicate on that once we get everything tied up. But you have
Paudcast, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to stay with Gary. Gary's story is inspiring, and not only for, you know, from birth and going through sort of, you know, early childhood and going through it, but Gary's gone through his own troubles and has his own demons, and his story is absolutely, honestly, is inspiring. And with Gary, what you see is what you get, and he's a cracking fella. And everyone, you know, on Merseyside, please go and support him. Go along to play. Helen and I will be there, and it is. And he's got Gary's book as well. Honestly, the guy, you'd be missing out on not knowing what his story is.
Well, where can the play be seen, Gary? Can you tell us where is it on?
The play is on 3 nights. The Hope Street Theatre in Liverpool. It's the 12th to 13th and the 14th of May. And apparently, if the play does well, we'll be nominated for an Oscar. And if I have to go to the Oscar Awards next year, and anyone insults my wife, no fucking chance of me slapping any fucker with this.
Gary Smith, huh?
Oh, brilliant.
We love Klopp. It's called Mother's Ruin after gin, because it was the drugs company and drinks company, unfortunately, made from your neck of the woods, Guinness Diageo, who made Guinness, who took over distillers in 1986, and the man who fell from the gutter into the sewer, Murdoch. If it wasn't for Murdoch and for Sir Harold Evans from Sunday Times, we'd have never got a penny in compensation, because distillers shut down their pharmaceutical arm. And when Guinness come along, all credit to Guinness, because Guinness, since he took over, could have buried their head in the sand the same way as the Distillers did. But their public image out there, and they still financially support us and will do till the day we all die. So it's a big to everyone out there in Northern and Southern Ireland, buying extra pints of Guinness at the weekend, because we're in negotiations with them for our old age, and for a big uplift in our support that we get from them next year.
Very good.
I've always said to Guinness, it's a way of making lemonade out of a lemon, which is to do the right thing, which they have. They've not deserted us, thank God. So
I'll put the link to the play in the video description as well, and to your own channel, Gary. I'll put Keith as well, the link to the 9th and April 22nd as well, and for your own the Prime Anxiety Solutions. You mentioned that earlier as well.
Yeah,
in June I'll be delighted to say I'll be touring with you guys as well, bringing the podcast on tour. More details to be released in that over the coming weeks, but looking forward, it will be a great experience as well to meet you guys in person, and a few ex-Liverpool FC legends as well.
Yeah, can't wait for it.
Would you ask your viewers, mate, to have a look at me on the website, and to purchase the book? We'll send it to you, postage free.
Oh yeah, send that on to me as well, and I'll send you on the link. I'll put that in as well. Yeah. No, I'd be interested in buying that, definitely. Yeah, even myself, I'd be interested in buying it.
Good man.
Just with the Ireland tour, the 15th of June, Limerick on the 16th of June, and Cork on the 17th of June. And we're going to have a couple of Gary, Mark is going to be there. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. €60 for over 5 hours of entertainment to meet these legends, the absolute legends. Some of the stories that you'll get, especially Aldo, honestly, it'll just be worth to come to see Aldo.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And John Barnesy as well. Barnesy, he probably won't do his England rap anyway, because it'll probably kick off. But honestly, these lads, even Jason, and Ronnie, these lads have great stories and hilarious stories. But you can put your own questions to them. And again, I'm in negotiations to do it for cancer charities over in Ireland as well, the Irish cancer charities. So it's good for a good cause as well, and come and have a good crack and a few shirts.
You might get a chance to meet me as well, guys, if you want, which would be, they'll put the icing on the cake, So
yeah, there you go. Most famous out of everyone.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to help, promote the podcast and the vlogging channel as well. So it's appreciated the opportunity.
No problem. Yeah.
Okay, guys. So if you're watching on YouTube, please like, subscribe, click the notifications bell. If you're listening on audio only on Podbean or Spotify, please click follow, and check out my vlogging channel, Pitch Spotting with Paudrick. Links will be in the video description along with the lads. Thanks for tuning in this evening. Thanks to Gary and Keith for dropping by, and we'll see you next time on the Parlay with Paudrick podcast. Good night. God bless.
Yeah. All the best.
Cheers, lads. All the best. God bless.